What is up, friends? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafael, coming to you live right now. It is 2:15 Best Coast time. We lost a couple fights today. I don't know exactly why. I'm going to imagine that one of it might have been COVID. The other would have been fat. However, we are here live with you right now. We are watching Dontel Mays, which, by the way, is a name, I'm told, versus Roque Martinez, and thus far in, it is only Roque Martinez looked like he was trying to just run for a little bit of a takedown. Did not really get too much for his troubles. Instead, it got a couple strikes. Now, you may be seeing this live and asking yourself, are these two gentlemen in the same weight class? And the answer is apparently. So you would assume that Mays is the person who has the advantage here, as he has a little bit more of what we might call the physique of a fighter. However, never count out individuals such as Mark Hunt, who never really had the physique that you would say, oh, that guy is an actual fighter. So we are about 1:30 into this fight thus far into the first round, and Mays is making a very, very strong first round for himself. Martinez has been covering up a little bit throughout this fight. I see that he is known as 86, so I'm just going to assume that his birthday falls in the year of 1986. If that is the case, that means he is also fairly little older, one might say. So anyway, friends, we'll be talking with, I believe at some point, hopefully today, Dan Hubler, who has been sidelined due to his Spectrum cable. He got a note that said, BT Dubs, your service might be down, which is not problematic for fight picks. It is problematic to get him on a call. So we'll be working our way to navigate through that this afternoon. Also, we have a lot of things that we need to cover. I'm also going to give some shout outs to our good friends over at Nogi BJJ Gear. Use the promotional code GRAPPLINGHOUR15. You save 15% off of whatever you put in the cart. And there's some weird shit there. I won't tell you what to buy, but I think you'll know the weird shit that I'm talking about if you look all the way into the deep dive section of their website. So anyway, nothing much has changed. I don't assume this is going to be a crazy heavy cardio bout, considering this is in the heavier gentleman division. As a result of that, we may see a somewhat casual form of pace, one might say. I wouldn't say it, though. I think that would be rude to say. Somebody might say it. Not this guy. This guy's going to be very, very much on the honest. You see Martinez covering up right now, and Mays kind of going to work, and this time you could see Martinez was smiling. So Martinez obviously has a puncher's chance in this fight. However, he has not really led this dance at any point. And Mays is definitely looking over this way to try and make it interesting with some leg kicks over this way, but I don't see the effect of it happening just far yet. Beautiful high kick, though, from Mays. I'm sorry, from Martinez. Didn't expect that one. He starts smiling at himself as he's doing that for this fight. I want to say hello to all of you who are tuning into our different channels. We, of course, want to give a big shout out to our good friend Joffrey, giving us some love. This continues our unprecedented run of doing these fight companions. We've been doing them every single week. So if you're new to the show, feel free to throw us a comment, a question, concern, hint, allegations, all of that good stuff. As we get to the break, and we do have a takedown here, and this bodes very well for Mays, who essentially just chucked Martinez down to the mat, has him near one of the cage edges, and Martinez is probably just hoping he can hang on here for 40 seconds, which could be a very tall order. So we'll see how this one plays out here, as Mays continues to make things very difficult for one Martinez underneath. He does have a little bit of time to play here before they call it a round. So even though Martinez may survive to yet another round, it does look like Mays is going to make him feel worse for the wear. We just got a heart. Let's see who gave us that. Megan, thank you so much for the heart. As you guys know, if you give us a like and a share, we will give you a toast on air, just like we do the fighters who get a finish within regulation. So we appreciate all of you who come in and say hello. And yes, we've reached the end of round number 1. Now, some of you may be asking yourself, Raph, what are you drinking today? Because I have a beverage in hand. Today's drink of choice is coming, I believe this one says Fat orange cat. Now, originally, I thought it said write drunk and then edit sober. But then I think it's actually this one that just says fat orange cat, which begs the question, which name is it? It's a New England Pale Ale. It is at 7.2 ALC, which means that should keep me nice and hydrated. I think that's what that means. The higher the alcohol content level, the more hydrated of a human being you are, which is great because I did work out this morning. So I appreciate our good friends over that. And I want to see who exactly makes this one. This is, it says 12% Beer Project. That's a weird fucking name, but you know what? We'll give it to them. As the UFC signals for us, we're going into the second round. Here we go. Now you see May starting to kick off a little bit more of his own. Martinez coming a little bit more offensive in this one, putting together a couple combinations over here, but Mays is very focused. And at a certain point, making Martinez have to cover up a little bit. Martinez still continuing to press forward as best that he can. And you are seeing him kind of touch the gloves, maybe to create a little bit of disorienting action here. So, does say over this way, Ryan Frederick on the Twitter feed says 10-9 Mays in the first round. We do have a timeout here, though. So the referee had a warning for Mays. Oh, okay. So apparently he needs to keep his fingers laced in when he's throwing his punches or when he is essentially doing the John Jones go to sleep nonsense, which happens occasionally on top of the head when you are fighting somebody. It's an unfortunate moment, but I think the thing that encapsulates it best, ooh, nice knee by Mays. I think the thing that encapsulates it best is that Mays himself actually understood the note so well, he grabbed the shoulders of the referee and just goes, I will. I'm sorry. That's about as good as they can get, kids. If you're really thinking about it, the fact that your fighter is looking and signaling to you, I know I've done bad. It's like a kid who did something wrong and now really, really feels bad. He's going to put himself in timeout. That's how bad it is. 3:38 left in round number 2. Ooh. Mays looked like he ate something. I don't exactly know what it was that he ate. We just took a little wince for a split second as Martinez goes back to trying to chop down the leg. Now Mays, I think, is being very cautious in what it is he's doing with his output here. He goes in just for a cross here, doesn't quite connect with it. Now, the body strikes are very much 3-1 in Mays' favor over Martinez, so we'll have to see how this thing progresses. Meanwhile, as I told you guys a little bit earlier, we had advertised that when Dan Hubler was going to join us. Dan, unfortunately, has a spectrum issue, so we are going to try and stay in touch with him while we're on air, and of course invite him to come on should that get resolved. But stay tuned. I know many of you love hearing Dan's picks, and specifically why it is that he picks certain things. So I hope that you aren't missing him too much. Meanwhile, as this fight continues to just press on, I'm going to take a swig because I haven't tasted what this beer tastes like yet. Oh, that's going to be real nice at 7.2. Yeah. And this is one of those beers that just kind of sneaks underneath you. Where you drink it, it's that nice India Pale Ale, and then you immediately realize, oh, I drank it very fast. So this might be a dangerous beer here, kids. Mays continuing with some nice punches. Now pushes Martinez against the cage. Martinez has been looking exceptionally better in this round, but you are now seeing Mays put together a series of combinations that make life a little bit difficult. If there is a strength to Martinez that we are seeing right now in this octagon, it is his ability to absorb and continue to press on. So that will be something to note as we continue within this fight, which now has gone past its halfway mark. So anything that happens here has to really put the pressure on Martinez to over-deliver, because this is a very, very close thing. And as I say that, you do see things are happening that are very, very, very positive for Martinez, who's trying for a takedown of his own. But good for him, man. All right. Martinez pressing Mays up against the cage, knowing that he might be one down here. So this is going to require a little bit of pressure, and he's going to need to probably secure a takedown here to really try and make things a little more even out. He's going for a single leg. He's trying to pick it up. He is getting at least some resistance here. And, he tries to back into it and instead cannot get it. And that's going to give Mays the opportunity to come in with a kick. And now you do see Martinez kind of blinking a little aggressively here. I wonder if he got swiped in the eye yet again, even though they did warn one Mays as to, hey, if you could not do that, that would be best for us here. It's only 24 seconds here, but this has been a way better round for Martinez. I struggled to figure out if that is going to be enough, but he has definitely been putting the pressure back on Mays throughout this round. So at the very least, a much better showing by Martinez in this second round. Ooh, and Mays gets in with a kick that just looks eek. And they reach the end of the second round. They bump fists, and Martinez goes back very focused, while Hayes may look a little upset with himself. Don't worry, we've all been there. Meanwhile, we do see a commercial for the Army, which is on my telecast, is what we're going to see consistently, because that's what the UFC plays on their ESPN Plus app. I realize some of you may be watching the Masters. Is that what's happening today? That's what I thought was happening. You guys can tell me, because I vaguely will pay attention to other sports when we have a much more important sport to watch here throughout the evening. So let me go and see what's going on here. We got our first comment, and it says, I like Canuco Morata to win today. Okay. I see you with that. I can fucks with that one. Since Dan isn't here, I will give you a little bit of a rundown of what it was that he was suggesting, so that if you do want to play some wagers, you're more than welcome to. Just kind of a little preface. We created this. It's called Risk It All with Dan Hubler, and the whole point of it is that I understand you guys don't have tons of money to go out there and spend. However, you might be willing to put, say, $20 worth of bets and kind of spread them out throughout the evening. As a result of that, we have asked Dan to really give us his best picks, his thoughts, his concerns, his best knowledge. And he's been doing that week in and week out. So hopefully we'll be able to get him in a little bit later today. But meanwhile, we now go to the third and final round, Mays and Martinez. And Martinez picking up steam here very nicely. Mays is being very cautious. I think probably took a couple hits from Martinez in that last round. And he said, this guy could be for real. I don't want to take him too lightly. Because when you get to be that big, that knockout power is something that you really have to contend with. And I don't care how not the perfect body type you may be. Dante Mays is now negative 1,200. Roque Martinez was plus 600. That's an interesting betting line that just happened right there. I don't know that I can fully sign off on it, even though Mays clearly looks like the aggressor. Martinez has proved to be a little difficult to kind of push around. And more importantly, I think he's kind of demonstrated to us he's got a pretty decent ability to take a punch, and especially a knee and a kick throughout the fight thus far in. And he is now starting to put it back on Mays a little bit. May kind of like ducks in and out, now starts pushing Martinez up against the cage. In for a single leg, Mays is trying to grab for a guillotine. And you don't see the big guys often get their guillotines, but it is slowing Mays down. So let's see if he can kind of shuck him down and maybe start to get to work from there. Now it's power. Mays is now in trouble just in terms of, I don't know how tight this choke is, but now he does have all of Martinez's weight pressed up against him, which might be problematic to make anything happen at this point. He is stuck in this position because that is not a light person. Now, Martinez had an opportunity to start unloading on him and did not take it because Mays was able to get back up, reverses the position now, and looked like he was signaling like he was going to try for a single leg, has to give it up, has double unders here. You see a little bit of pummeling between the two. Martinez gets one underhook back in and is slowly trying to make his way across the cage, maybe to get across into a better angle. It takes a knee from Mays right now. Looks like it's okay. He tries to respond with a knee of his own. Nothing doing just there. Ooh, nice over the cross. Little hook right there by one Mays, who may have exhausted a little bit of Martinez, but Martinez comes in with a nice uppercut right there. This is probably going to be a very ugly end of the round here because Martinez's form looks a little amateurish, and I can't really say that he's doing it as a ploy, but he did tag Mays a couple times, pushes him right back up against the cage. Things are becoming very interesting in this fight. There's still 2 minutes left to go. Now you see him just pressing continuously with all of his weight, pushing Mays up against the cage and seeing maybe, just maybe, if he can turn the tides here. He starts attacking the legs, trying to make the balance a little bit harder for him to keep up so that maybe he can get that takedown that has eluded him throughout most of this round. But of course, Bisping is on the commentary right now saying that this is giving an opportunity to get his breath back. And I think he might mean that for actually Mays, but it might double apply here to both of the fighters. We should also say that in the news right now, it does look like Tony Ferguson is calling out Michael Chandler. And I have to say, that sounds like an excellent demonstration of time, because it did seem that Dos Anjos was critiquing the fact that Tony Ferguson didn't take the fight against him in this particular case. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. My apologies if the sound quality was a little off. It did look like the microphone was not working to its fullest. So I'm going to just double check and make sure. Yes, the Yeti should be coming in. You should be hearing me much better, I assume. Ooh! Martinez is now starting to put it on. 40 seconds left to go. Mays looked like he was a little, not on Dream Street, but did not look like he had his full wits about him. Mays ekes out of that corner and starts to bring in a couple knees, and now he gets his distance back. In this one, Martinez is ahead 39-10 in terms of round 3 strikes. That might be significant. Comes in with a jumping knee that just looks ouch, and maybe trying to make it a little bit better of an ending for himself. Though I think Martinez is going to take this third round. So I guess it's really going to come down to how the judges scored that second round. And right now, Martinez is swinging for the fences. And again, with the jumping knee, Mays is so money with those jumping knees. The gentlemen go over, they slap hands, and Martinez is already raising his hand over to the corner while Mays follows and does the same. That got to be a surprisingly better fight than it needed to be, if we're being honest. I didn't expect much from it. And you know what? In honesty, in the first part, it didn't look super great. But as we proceeded on, it did become a lot more fun as it went along. So a lot of props to those gentlemen for giving us such a fun exhibition. Anyway, kids, tell me what's going on with you guys. I would be interested to hear how things have been shaken out for y'all, if you're enjoying your weekend, if you're doing anything fun. And I did notice, yes, we did get a couple notes over this way. Much appreciation to everybody who is tuning in with us right now and playing along and sending us notes. Always appreciate when you guys give us some support. It just feels great. Anyway, I'm looking down here. It does look like we are seeing some notes start to pour in a little bit more. So we will be going live on the Instagrams in a little bit, but we want to give Dan a little bit of time to show up because Dan, again, is still fending off a little bit of the internet connection problems that he was having from his his Spectrum. And it does look like Dontel Miles is going to pick up the win here by decision. And it does look like we will probably have enough time to talk to him in the post-fight afterwards. I heard 2 30-27s, and okay. I am interested to hear how he won that third round of the judges, but sure. I mean, I think ultimately he did win the fight. Martinez at least gave us some pause for a split second with the ways that he was putting the pressure on him. And he does get a nice little elbow bump from one Bruce Buffer, and he does give some acknowledgement to his opponent there doing the customonial selfie. Should they just have a photographer out there to do the selfies for these athletes? I understand we could make those actual photos as opposed to selfies, but I think there's something in the translation of trying to get one with your pals that you take it yourself. And it does look like they actually handed it. I can't tell if they handed it to a camera person to take the photo, but that dude needs to rush on over to interview Rowe, because he is spending time talking with his coaches, and that is not what you were supposed to do in those crucial moments after winning a fight, because you need to go talk to what I assume today is one Michael Bisping. All right, let me center myself here. I want to make sure we are broadcasting live. Also, we want to send some shout outs to our friends. I also want to give a shout out to my good friend Milton Aguayo. Check this out. This is his academy over on this side. So it is the MMA Academy, established 2020. And I think the hard part is you guys don't typically get to see what's on the back. So check this out. I like the way this looks. Our good friends over at Dodgy Collective designed this. So got a lot of love for their artwork. I think they did a fantastic job. So we always like to support our friends over here on the show. We are now with Michael Bisping, whose shirt and tie combination looks atrocious. Like, what is that supposed to match? That looks terrible. Dante Mays is now saying to Michael Bisping, he feels like he could have done better. Sure. But he ultimately did get the win. Agree. Bisping is saying he thought it was a tremendous performance. Sure. So he was saying in this last fight, things didn't go the way he wanted them to go in terms of where his body was, so he needed to actually do some things, pick up some weights, and get ready to come back. And that's it. That's their interview. Montel Mays is done. So unfortunately, there are no cheers to be distributed on that first fight because not really, too much to celebrate there. They're getting ready for Murano versus Mckee. So that is coming up, I believe, in their next fight. That is a welterweight bout. So we're going to start getting ready to go on Instagram right now. Keep things lively. Keep y'all entertained. If you give us a like and a share, we will go ahead and give you a toast on air. That is as simple as it works for us. Hopefully, it is as simple as it works for you, too. So we're going to go ahead and start getting set up over this way. Hopefully, you guys are having a fantastic night. In the meantime, I would love to hear who you guys have in this next fight in the comment section. I'll put that up in just a second, but I need to make sure we're about to go live, and I need to grab what is called a lapel mic. Hopefully, I have one handy near me. If not, I got to spend some time digging it out, which I might have to do. Anyway, friends. All right, so that is what's coming up next on the UFC. We take a short pause on the commercials right now, but we don't go anywhere. We stay here with you the entire day. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and share this version of our show so that people can go and chime in, talk to us, keep things going. There's apparently a movie called Chick Fight with one of the stars of the show Trophy Wife and Children's Hospital. And it looks like there's a co-star in one Alec Baldwin. So very interesting to see how MMA will be portrayed in a major emotion film that you can only imagine as it is dubbed Chick Fight. So it does look like one of those, she's going through it. The only way she'll get out of it is through fighting kind of stories. Those old things. Meanwhile, I am currently taking a moment to look and see if I have one of my trusty lapel mics so that my sound sounds good on the Instagram. I think this is one. This should do. All right. Let's go ahead and give that a share. I'll go ahead and ask you in the comment section in just a moment who you think is going to win, and then we can progress on to the next thing. I don't know. How do you guys feel about a potential fight with Ferguson and Chandler? I think it kind of makes sense because Tony is essentially needing to build back his stock. And there are some people, I'm not one of them, but there are some people who think that Chandler has to prove himself in the UFC. He shouldn't just be given a title shot just right off the back. In which I'm thinking to myself, I hear you, but I also don't care. I think if you're a champion of a different organization, I think at the very least you should probably get the ability to fight for it, and then give things where they may. So let's see. Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm digging that. All right, let's go ahead and go live over. We're going to actually start today on the Grappling Hour Instagram. Let's see who joins us, and then later we'll go on our main channel. So let me go ahead and cue this up so that we can start things going very nicely. Yes, I approve all of these things. I don't know if you've seen, but in the past couple of days, we've actually seen some modifications to the structure in which YouTube and Instagram are starting to use themselves. So I do notice here, it does show a friend is joined in on the chat. Having trouble connecting. I guess that's trying to tell me that I'm having trouble connecting. But let's see if I can see it. Dan, I don't see it just yet, my friend. So do you want to exit and... Oh, I'm seeing a blank screen. Well, let's see where he's coming in just a moment. I'm going to have Dan try and exit and re-enter the room and see if that helps anything. And he took the note on a just quick moment. So good on him. First of all, his nickname is Skeletor. So I do have some appreciation for that as a nickname. 2, his tattoo is kind of ridiculous. So we'll see how this one plays out in just a moment. Between the next two gentlemen, the two people who are fighting next, Alex Murano versus Mckee. That's a weird name. Would they spell it with or is it the Reese? I'm just going to call it Rise because we're here in America. So I really don't care what he calls himself. It's about what we feel his name should be. All right, looks like they're about ready to make things go. I will narrate some of the action for you. It does look like at any time, though, we could be interrupted by Dan Hubler, so stay with us as we look to see if he joins the chat. Once again, round 1 begins on my clock, and it does say 4:55. Hopefully you're within that realm. Already, you see Murano in the black trunks starting to chip away at the legs. He is a little shorter than Mckee. So I think that's a solid strategy because he's going to have to get over some of this reach, which does look like it would favor Rise a little bit easier throughout this. Mckee is also a little loose in terms of how he's covering up. Just got a note here. It says, Spectrum is still down. Apparently my phone connection isn't good enough either. Dan, I totally understand, my friend. It's an unfortunate moment. We hate when the electronics go down. That's an understandable thing, dude. So he's sending me notes to let me know this. But it says, but I was already right about Smoka and his weight cut. Yeah, apparently Louis Smokla, his weight cut was pretty bad. So I think they ended up taking that off the card. But already Murano is making Mckee look a little bloodied up here. And that's only within about 1 minute and 25 seconds worth of fight time here. All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go live on the Insta while we wait for Dan to figure it out. Keep me posted. Hop on if you can, when you can. Sweet. All right, going live now on our Instagram while we wait for Dan to hopefully get his shit together. Or I guess in this case, we should say Spectrum to get their shit together. I don't want to put that on Dan. That would seem mean. All right. Going live in 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafael Esparza. We are currently watching UFC Vegas 14, the prelims. Hopefully, you're watching them as well. If you're not, I'm happy to narrate some of it. If you have questions, comments, concerns, hints, allegations, or just want someone to generally chat with as you're watching the fights as well, feel free to chime in, talk to us. We're already having a fairly decent start to our day. I guess with the lone exception being that our good friend Dan Hubler is without internet connection, so he won't be joining us at the immediate term, but we will be keeping you guys posted on how these fights are going. So thus far in, we are at 2:20 left on the clock of the first round of the fight between Murano and Mckee, and already Murano is ahead on the strikes at a 2-to-1 ratio, 30-14 here, and it does look fairly reasonable. You did see Mckee try to slide by to see if he could maybe get a little bit of a punch there. Not really anything to it. Murano staying very heavy on both his offense and defense at the exact same time. It is a very, very impressive output by him thus far in. I'm very intrigued to see how he'll be able to keep up this this pace all the way throughout. So as we continue to watch what's happening here, Mckee does look like he does tag Murano for just a split second, but every time in this clinch, Murano is relentless. It does kind of not fully drop Mckee, but Mckee returns in kind. Now is starting to get a little bit of a return time. What is up, Lori? Thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a great day watching UFC Vegas 14. Hope you are as well. Eek, double underhooks for Murano. And it looks like if he wanted to, he could probably take down Mckee at this point, but I think he likes just keeping it exactly where it is. So, yikes. 3,000 that's going on here. Just 1 minute left in this first round. Oof, yeah, this clinch is bad news for Mckee. I have not seen him get the better of Murano, and you definitely want to escape it as quickly as you can, as Mckee did, as he kind of sidestepped a very nice roundhouse kick that was coming in his direction. Ooh, he does tag him nicely here, though. Mckee coming back with some fire of his own. Ooh, does disorient very quickly. Murano starts pushing him back over to the cage by some kind of instinct, but stops midway through. He gets a nice crack with this left hand there. He's coming over for a 1-2, but now he's covering up because Murano caught his breath. Does not get a knee. What is up, S. Farmer? Good to see you. Jesus. It's a good first round for both of these gents right here on the show. UFC Vegas. What is up, Josie? Thank you for joining. We are watching UFC Vegas 14. Hope you are. That is the end of the very first round. Very solid round for Murano. Though Mckee is he showed a little bit of signs of life in that fight. So hopefully you guys are watching the fights. If not, let me know. Totally understandable. It's a long day. And here's the good news. They aren't going to have all the fights tonight. It appears that tonight we will only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fights. And we've already done one of them, and this is the second. So we are in for a little bit of a shorter night here this evening, which we welcome on this show. Now, granted, they didn't plan them that way. Some shit went wrong where I think a weight cut ended up killing one of them, and potentially, let's just say the second one's due to COVID. Because why not? I feel like if you bet that the fight got called off because of COVID, you're probably 90% right at this point. But let's do some investigating. I did see Irahawani put up a factoid that probably one of his crew members sent to him, but I think it was something to the effect that this is the second time that we have seen a UFC fight card with only 9. And it says, yes, of course, per ESPN stats info, this would be the 4th card this year with 9 fights or less. The last time there were at least 4 cards with 9 fights or less in a calendar year was 2014, and that was 5 times. You're still young, so we could very easily hit that benchmark and get those rookie numbers up. If you guys know how this goes, obviously give us a like and a share. We're more than happy to go ahead and give you a toast on air like we do those fighters who get finishes within regulations. But that's because you got to give us a like and a share on our Facebook or your Facebook, I guess is the proper way to say that one. Both these gents are coming out very aggressive in this round, which is nice to see. And we're seeing a little bit of a return to form for Mckee. Mckee is pressing on very nicely. Murano has been very nice, though, with his own countering all the way throughout. Yeah, apparently Bisping is saying the difference between the two corners that are happening thus far in this fight. He is pointing out that Murano's team is acting a little more chill than Mckee's, and that is with good reason, because Mckee's first round was not the best in terms of keeping it a close fight. He was showing some greater signs of life in the second half of that first round, but it still looked like Murano's round to lose. In this second round, though, I wouldn't say things are turning, but I could definitely see a little bit of momentum swinging Mckee's way. I think maybe Mckee kind of has a little bit more time to react, gets in a nice cut here, and he has been using his jab a little bit stronger throughout the round thus far in. Maybe he's using a jab to get a little bit of his reach, figure out what he needs to hit, and it does look at, on occasion, and this includes the first round, Murano was caught off guard a couple times by some of those jabs. So it is important to keep that consistency between the varying of your attacks. And again, this is where Murano does his best work. Ooh, he is wobbling Mckee a little bit with these knees. And again, every time he's in the clinch, Murano just has an aggressive nature that makes it really compelling to watch. Very, very aggressive. Comes in for a knee tap, gets it. Mckee scrambles back up, and Murano is all on top of Mckee. They separate and get back to the center. You see Mckee immediately go for an uppercut that just skims the side of Murano's body. Ooh. Murano's so good at this very loose style of boxing that he's even eating some of these uppercuts and these very aggressive strikes from Mckee, and not really flinching, not really looking any different than anything that we've seen thus far in. What is up, Mike? Thank you for joining us. Hope you're having a good day. We're watching UFC Vegas 14. Of course, the main event of tonight is one Rafael dos Anjos versus Paul Felder, who took this fight on 5 days' notice. Now, Mckee is 28 of 96, so his batting average is not as good as Murano's. However, his output has been a little bit higher in the second round than arguably it was in his first incarnation. But of course, minute 17, that means there's 6 minutes of fight left in this one, and anything could happen. Oof. Murano is in that very loose, almost like sparring kind of stance that he's got going on right now. Eats a body shot like it's nothing. Murano's not even trying to block half of these shots. He just kind of eats them, and it makes me wonder, like, is this dude okay? Like, are we good doing that, fam? Because I don't especially love that. Oof. Straight to the body here from Mckee once again. And every time now you're seeing Mckee trying to catch the leg whenever he can. I think that he had some success in catching the leg, hopefully creating some kind of movement that will be a little bit more urgent for him. Yep, again with the trip, looking for his Muay Thai there. What is up, Bud GTXX? Thank you for joining us. All right, last couple seconds here. And that will be the end of the second round. We'll return with the third round when they return. In the meantime, it's a good time to tell you guys, Kevin and I will be doing an installment of Verbal Tap. I think we're recording it tomorrow, so that should be coming out sometime Monday, maybe late tomorrow night, depending on how we fit those things in. So keep an eye or an ear out for that, depending on how you get your media. Interesting. It appears that the Instagram reset. So we're going to take a moment, reset the iPad, and we'll come back on that in just a moment. And then we're going to go ahead and make sure to give this a share on my Facebook. So that way we can go. So just so that you guys know how we're kind of playing it, we're going to stay on here. And then when we reach the main card, we're going to close it out and restart the whole thing again. And the main card should be very interesting because our friend Kay Hanson is fighting once again in the UFC. She won her debut. This is her second fight in the UFC. She is a monster. She trains out here locally at the Orange County region of the 10th Planet family, aka the 10th Planet fight team, classic fight team, those folks out that way. And we are back to the third and final round of Murano versus Mckee. Again, Murano in the black trunks, Mckee in the red trunks. And now Mckee is, again, just like you did in that second round, probably feeling the urgency. We are seeing some notes on the Twitter that say it should be a 1919 round. That's an interesting statistic. I think you could make a case for that. I think you're in the realm of being correct on it. I think it's very difficult when you start looking at who has the better power shots here. And even though Mckee is connected a little bit more in terms of that second round, his accuracy overall isn't quite as good as Murano. And Murano arguably has had some of the better power shots. He just also seems to not care about eating them. So that could be, Mckee again cashing Murano a couple times. I know that Murano has his hands up, but normally he can swat some of those away or kind of try to duck out of them. But the lack of like trying to move as the punches are coming forward concern me to a degree I am not healthy with. I think it's super important to create movement that keeps you moving consistently and that keeps you out of danger. So just at the very least, trying to duck under some of these punches or at least move around them is helpful for your long-term health in the sport, especially within boxing. But in MMA, they can kind of get away with it a little bit easier because you don't have quite as the consistency. But now you're seeing Mckee starting to take over. He might, if people saw that the same way that the Twitter fear did. Look at this. Still within this round, Murano was still ahead 26-15, but Mckee is starting to take a little bit of an edge, and Murano knows it, gets the takedown. In that second round, he was still ahead. So even though you see that Murano is cleanly hitting on some of these, Mckee is definitely making this a very interesting fight. Now you're seeing him try to set up a triangle here, isolating the arm, and does not quite get it. Murano is trying to go for a guillotine here, but instead has to settle with making Mckee cover up as he pushes him over to the edge of the fence. Now has a front headlock position. It will be interesting. It does look like Mckee does easily find his way out of that guillotine attempt. The referee is Jason Herzog is calling for a split second here. I think it's probably to get, is that the mouthpiece? What's happening? Did part of the cage not get put together properly? So we're actually waiting for a mouthpiece to avail itself. Meanwhile, on the air, they're complimenting the work rate of that fight as they get on fight. No, give him a new fucking mouthpiece then. Jesus Christ. I don't want to put that back in my mouth. Guys, if it takes this long to find a mouthpiece, it's gone. Also, I don't think I've ever seen a mouthpiece this hard to find where they have 4 people looking for it and not a single person looks all the closer. No, he's bringing his cell phone over to give some light on it. This is actually way more entertaining than the fight, which was arguably pretty entertaining thus far in. Nope, still haven't found it. He's still walking around, but it's a good time to see the tattoo work, at least on the back. Don't make the fighter find it. That's rude. Give him time. He didn't lose it like that. It's not his fault that it just bad bounced out of the fucking cage. Oh, God. Herzog is very nervous because now he's thinking, I don't think I have a mouthpiece for this guy. Still going?
Yep. Well, Mckee definitely is shrugging it off like, bro, there's 2 minutes left. Like, also, what is this gonna do to my teeth at this point that my dentist doesn't already think is going on with my teeth? This is no, they're underneath. Oh, dear God. Yeah, I'll drink to this. This is great. Maybe. Bisping is now saying why his teeth are bad, and here's a hint: it's not just because he's British. No, we've now turned into a team of 7 people. They found it. They're trying to rinse it out with water, which and it's back in the mouth. Well, good news. Mouthpiece found. Murano, not very happy he had to wait that entire time. So coming out very angry. Mckee was very, very jovial about the whole thing, though. So to his credit, he was there. Ooh, I think that Mckee's basis of being a little bit more with a couple of these sweeps, they're a little more based in Muay Thai. So in the clinch, I think that was part of the issue, was that his timing was when he was absorbing the shots in those first couple rounds. I think it was just because he likes that sweep element, but as he was doing it, he just ate a set of shots that nobody really wants to eat here. Now back underneath, trying to set up a little bit of a triangle again, maybe seeing he's got some flexibility here. He could very easily get that overhook. He has closed it up, and it's a little bit on the left side. It's a very, very interesting element. If you see somebody who gets that kind of control and has that kind of a guard, you have to be very weary of it. And Murano's cure seems to be just punch away from inside of the guard. I do like that Mckee is utilizing a little bit of his elbows here, but it is having very, very little effect on Murano. Again, look at the body triangle that he is trying to put from inside of the guard here. He has to let it go because he's eating shots and just getting smothered with pressure by Murano on top, who wants to make it very, very uncomfortable for him. Now, for a split second, you could see Murano wanted that rear naked choke, but now he's going to have to sell for mount and just unleashing some ground and pound here, and it's going to leave Mckee with some not great parting gifts from this fight. So this is definitely going to be Murano's fight. I believe if they go to a decision, which all things considered, it will. Eek. Yeah, he's trying to get the stop here, but Mckee is doing just enough to keep the ref into his place, and he's instead just getting some really bad bruises that aren't going to feel great, and he almost was able to get a little bit of a mount escape where you kind of get the legs underneath the arms, and Murano should be your winner when they come back from it. I don't think I've seen them lose a mouthpiece like that in my many years of watching the UFC. Could be wrong, but that is definitely one of the few times I've ever looked at that moment and said, well, it's a new one here for the UFC. Always know that you can be surprised here, kids. Well, do you have it differently than I do? Did you guys somehow score it incorrectly in the opposite way? If you did, we won't judge you. But I would love to hear why you have scored it the other way. Because I don't think that's happening. Either way, very pleased you're joining us here this nice afternoon. Got a breezy 7 more fights to watch here tonight. I was wondering, I thought that they were supposed to start at 1 p.m. and I said, that's really weird. I thought for sure I read they would start at 1 p.m. And then, of course, it starts at 2. And I think to myself, well, I was pretty sure I read it because I did look at it yesterday. I was going to go on at 2 no matter what. But kind of nice that we could start very, very easily. So, yes, Murano does pick up the decision, unanimous decision. And he does get it. 30-27 from all three of the judges. Unfortunate. I think they might have to ask him about the mouthpiece situation, because I am curious to hear what the person on the opposite side of that has to think. Two guys shake hands, have some nice words for each other. I'm sure they'll probably talk to each other in the back. Yes, all three scorecards. It does make sense. That is 30-27. Are they already just... Oh, you know what? I think they're trying to speed it up, because it's 3:05. They got to get 2 fights in before the top of the hour. And I think they actually lost the time that they were supposed to talk to him from trying to find the mouthpiece. So, but the reason you're not getting talked to right now is because the mouthpiece took at least 4 minutes of time. That's a sad thing to see. So anyway. So this should be interesting to see. Our next fight will be one Geraldo de Freitas versus Tony Gravely, or Gravely, is how they said it on their telecast. Can't promise you that's how I'm going to say it throughout. All right, I'm going to ask you guys, do you believe in jiu-jitsu winning this one? I will put it in the comments section. Would love to hear who you have on this one, but I also have to make the banner for it. So we're doing 2 more fights, and then we will take a short little intermission. We'll return to finish it out with the remaining 5 fights, topped off by, again, our friend Kay Hanson, who we're very excited to see get her second MMA fight in the octagon. So while we're doing that, let's put in the comment section, De Freitas or Tony Gravely? Or Gravely. Nah, I like my version better, honestly. Let's put that up in the comment section. Yep, it's not spam, Periscope. Well, that question is coming from me, the person who's running this broadcast. All right, let's try this again over on our Instagram. We'll see if this works. Hopefully a little bit better this time in. So we're going to go in 3, 2, 1. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, Rafael Esparza. We are watching UFC Vegas 14 right now. So that's the prelims, though. If you see something later, you'll know that we were watching, 2 different sets. But hello, submission only series. What's up, D's Tings? Is that these Tings like Conor McGregor says, these Tings like I know these Tings? I'm not really sure. But welcome. We're glad you're here. We are watching the prelims again for UFC Vegas 14. Saw some weird shit. Saw someone actually lose their mouth guard. And they had to take a 4-minute little break to do it. What's up, Chewy? Good to see you, bro. What is up? Calf Boo BJJ. I don't know how to say that one, so I'm just going to wave at you. Either way. You missed Dan's segment. Well, no, you didn't. Bad news about that. Dan's Spectrum is it's not working. So we have not had Dan on yet. And if we do have Dan on, you're going to have to go to watch the YouTube or Facebook version. When it's me solo, I can do this. But I can tell you who Dan did say for people to bet on right now. And we'll throw that up for our friends watching on the main broadcast. And I will narrate it to those of you who are watching on this one. On this week's installment of Risk It All, Dan was suggesting that you bet on the following individuals. They are as follows. Number 1, he was saying that you would get good money off of Brendan Allen. You will get good money on Canuco, Murata. You will get good money on Jose Quinones. And you will get good money on Corey McKenna. And all of those are going to be, I'm sorry, 3 of those, Corey, Morata, and Allen, are going to be ML, aka bet on ML if you go to that as a thing. So hopefully, having trouble connecting. That's really weird. So I'm not sure if you guys saw that on the main broadcast. What is up, Legal Rhythm? Legal Rhythm, is that a name that kind of makes it sound like the town in Footloose where rhythm is illegal to have? I have no issue with that joke. It was worth it. Worth the short time we took. Look at this. Tony Gravely is with an 18-6 record, looking pretty good in the octagon thus far in. But do you believe in jiu-jitsu? Because if so, I think you almost have to go for his opponent, who is holding the jiu-jitsu banner. And Joffrey was saying this will be a hard fight to call. Sure, it could very well be a hard fight. But yes, Gerardo de Freitas is your 12-5 fighter, standing across the cage from him right now. What's up, BJJ Disciple? Yo, dude, in your profile pic, you need to register those arms. Jesus Christ, dude. All right, Chris Tongoni is your referee, and we get this thing going in just a couple seconds. But yes, I'll be walking you through it. Hope you're having a great day. So there's apparently a little thing on my TV that I think somebody might have pressed for the Alexa, but then it just asked a question like, what can you tell me about Abraham Lincoln? Like, that's the question you're going to ask Alexa if you get the opportunity to. And yikes, De Freitas starting very frantically on the American. Gravely is had to back up for a split second here. De Freitas using the punches to see if he could set up a takedown. Does get it, but Gravely does get on top, though. Very nice posture right here. What's up, Shango? Good to see you. Of course, he has the black belt on his back here, which normally would be a bad thing. But when you do have a jiu-jitsu black belt, even though they look like they're in trouble, they can very quickly make things work in their favor. So this will be very interesting to see where De Freitas does go in this short little aspect here. He's trying to get his guard back, and he is doing it in the most methodical and slow of regions to do so. Gravely is trying to punch from up top right now, putting a little bit of that shoulder pressure, trying to punch him with his shoulder, by the way, which some fighters do. Some jiu-jitsu people do. Mike. But yes, in this thus far in, you are seeing De Freitas already start to get back to butterfly here. This might be a good element. He stands right back up. So I think now you're going to see De Freitas maybe a little bit weary on trying to get a takedown here. You feel attacked. You should feel attacked, Mike. You should know better. I should feel attacked. Yeah, of course you feel attacked. I just said your name and just made fun of you, of course. De Freitas with some actual decent head movement here. Gravely also checking a kick very nicely. I don't think Gravely seems phased at all. You can tell Freitas wanted to keep the pace very, very active and very quick, and now is thought better of it. Now, ooh, clips Gravely, who immediately presses a button in his brain that says takedown. What a great reaction to have. You get clipped like that, your level's already changed, and you use that momentum. Freitas already goes into a butterfly hook for a split second. Looked like he was trying to attack the arm. Does not get too much off of it, but now he's in guard, going to sweep here, may have an armbar on Gravely. This is not great. He slams him down, a little bit of a powerbomb action here, not quite in the Quinton Rampage. He's going to transition over in Omoplata land, and I think that Gravely is just trying to eke it out. I think he understands if he can keep him in this position, he might not have to actually roll into it. Freitas goes straight back into guard. This is a very interesting connection, and you are seeing De Freitas having to kill the posture a little bit of Gravely, who has an astounding base here, tries to respond with some punches from inside of the guard. However, Gravely may leave his arm out yet again here. I don't love it consistently, and you do see De Freitas
pushing him away with some not quite up kicks, but up pushes, one might say, from off of his back. 140 left to go in this very first round. And Gravely does not want to engage on that ground. He is waiting for him to either throw a kick or try to pass, probably with some athleticism. So kicking to the butt is happening right now. If you are curious, what is up, Coach Philippe Peacup Untra? I don't know how to say your name, man. Tell me how to say your name. Spell it out phonetically, please. It's very difficult to understand when you have to do a cold read. De Freitas now going into half guard. Looks like he wants to transition here. His arm control is quite excellent. Ooh, still going for that omoplata. Yikes. He gets back up to his feet. 47 seconds left in this very first round. It's a very interesting fight. So Joffrey was saying a little bit earlier, this is going to be a hard fight to call. Not only is it a hard fight to call, it looks like it's a hard fight to fight. Gravely's wrestling has proven. That was a very, very nice takedown by Gravely. And De Freitas obviously has the advantage as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, but Gravely has proven very nicely in terms of getting him down consistently. And remind our folks here, De Freitas was the one that was, excuse me, initially trying to get the takedown to begin with. So seeing that happen thus far in is it's a little debilitating when you're trying to figure out your plan of attack. All right, that's the end of the very first round, a very lively first round, I might add. So that'll be interesting to see how they make some adjustments as we get to this next round. Who do you think won that round? Say it in the comment section, and I will give you some credit if I think it is an actually smart comment or one that is worth a note to everybody else. We always love hearing what you guys are thinking and feeling. You guys are part of the show. You make the interactive element of it happen. So it's not just me. It's you guys too. You're a big part of it. I'm looking over here at some of the comments, but yes, Freitas was trying to get a flying knee going, and Gravely very quickly was able to dump him again. So those armbar attempts, though, I have to give some credit to Gravely that he had some very, very smart recognition of this. Submissions only series does say Gravely for sure dominant position, very much so. So apparently next week, is that where we're at right now? It's the 14th, right? Yeah. Next week is a pay-per-view. I don't think we should have to pay for that one. That does not look like a powerful $64 card. If you could pay what you think it's worth, I would say that one's about a $32 pay-per-view. Just saying. All right, here we go. Round number dos. Ooh, now. Nice takedown. Says right over this way, Joffrey says Tony leg kick will slow Gerardo down. In this case, Gravely is doing a very nice element of control himself, working to take him down yet again. De Freitas looking a little stifled here. Tried to reach back to punch him. Nothing doing there. Instead, Gravely is just very, very slowly and methodically just making sure that De Freitas can't really get away from him. So don't be surprised if he trips him down from here. But De Freitas, yep, almost down with that. The second time, may try for a third here in just a moment. And it says, no love for the 125 belt pay-per-view. I love the 125ers. But, you know, how much would you pay for that one? Would it be a lot? That's assuming you also pay for it, Mike. I'd like to see your Google searches, sir. Oof. Oof. De Freitas trying to go for a takedown and gets essentially very quickly power slammed back down. Yep.
Gravely, very nice with the pressure on this one. It says never once paid for it. I knew that, Mike. You didn't have to tell me that. Take that as what you will. There's nothing to take it for what I will. You just said what it is. It's not really up to the imagination there. Raph, I've committed a crime. Take that for what you will. Not saying I committed a crime. You just did, dude. All right, if you're DeFritas, you're putting a lot of stock into this armbar omoplata little setup that he's got going on here consistently. All right, DeFritas kind of stuck in this one butterfly hook, one over. I think at this point, he's probably trying to figure out his better option. Is it to try and engage with him here? Is it to try and elevate him? Is it to try and address where the issue is? Yeah, he keeps isolating the arm, and he does it very nicely, but Gravely has proven very adept at getting around it more than 2 to 3 times throughout this fight. And as a result, Gravely keeps saying, like, yo, bro, I still want to punch you from inside of the guard. Now is completely, well, gets put back into the guard. I was about to say he was outside of the guard, but womp womp. Ground control time has been 5 minutes in Gravely's favor over this way. DeFritas trying to punch his way out of a single leg takedown over here by Gravely. Gravely trying to push him down, maybe getting an underhook here. Bro, if this is really the way he's trying to take it down, man, we really need that guillotine at like stat. So instead, now that he's back standing up, he's trying to make this into a puncher's chance show, connects a couple times, and I think that's going to only make Gravely trying to continue this takedown, gets a beautiful single leg, slams him down. DeFritas gets right back up, and dude, you really have to build in that guillotine here. That is really, I think, the best shot he's got, unless he gets taken down by Gravely's choice, and at that point, it's a little bit harder to control that element. Again, continuously with these shots, Gravely finds them. He does not finish. DeFritas, for a split second here, almost had the ability to do it. What is up, Alejandro? Oof. Gravely does get the takedown in the very end. There is kind of a hook here that DeFritas has, and instead gets him right back to guard. And he does have double unders here, but I think at this point he's just trying to break the pressure down so that he doesn't have to contend with them all the way into being broken. He does signal like he wants to go for an armbar again, but he does not have the time. We're going to go to a third round. And DeFritas is looking a little tired for the wear as he gets back up. Joffrey, you mentioned that a leg kick was going to slow him down. No, the wrestling slowed him down. The actual everything that he was doing slowed him down. He didn't even need to kick him. He was just like, dude, I could probably just take it down at will. And I think if you're DeFritas, that's really hard to kind of budget. Imagine having to budget a takedown multiple times and then saying, all right, as soon as he takes me down, now I'm going to start to attack him. It's not the best of outcomes if you're a jiu-jitsu guy. It is an outcome you can plan for, but I think he's a little more hopeful to keep this standing up. And you notice any time that DeFritas gets a little bit better on the exchanges, Gravely is very quickly taken down and kind of sucking that away from him. So very, very smart game plan by Gravely all the way through. You have to be able to look at these first 2 rounds and say they belong very, very securely to Gravely. Now the question is, does DeFritas have something to do in this very last round? We begin right now. He's trying to trip him up a little quickly, and now he's starting to exchange. Good 1-2 there between the two gents. Just to let you know, you've got DeFritas in the black trunks and Gravely in the blue trunks. This is a very interesting fight. Gravely has been very, very cautious in terms of what he does when he is able to get the takedown. He's put in some punches there, but none of them really seem to be fucking up DeFritas too much, and essentially gets a takedown that makes it look too easy. I know we talk a lot about the deficiency of wrestling in some jiu-jitsu folk, but this is one of those cases where it does show a lot when you don't have the training of a wrestling room that could really, really make a significant difference there. So that is what we are seeing this early into the fight. Mike Hack is saying fighting Tony Gravely has to be incredibly frustrating. Yeah, I think also giving up that control has to be incredibly frustrating. And Rob Tatum says the wrestling has been the difference. Of course, but look at how uncomfortable underneath this pressure De Freitas is looking with just 3:34 left to go. So if I'm guessing, De Freitas wants to get him back to guard here. If he can somehow manage to get him back to guard, he's going to have to try to attack these arms in a little bit of a different manner than he's been doing the entire fight in. Now, he does get one underhook. He is almost to guard, but instead he thought about trying to get a very quick butterfly hook here. It's very interesting to see how many times he is doing a warm-up to get the arm bar, but Gravely still continues to not allow him to do it. And instead, very active from inside of the guard. Now both feet are on the hips for one De Freitas, trying to space him out. And that is almost opening up the guard for Gravely to almost pass again. He's almost seeing if maybe he can try to control the arm, go into that omoplata that he's been plotting to hit 2 or 3 times. But, man, this is a time, if you ever had some rubber guard, this would be the moment if you had somebody inside your guard for that long that you kind of want to throw it. And I think he's almost flexible enough to do it. But as we all know, 10th Planet isn't real. That shit don't work. We know that. Standing back up, De Freitas probably super tired, but he needs to make some kind of statement with the punching and the kicking thus far in. And Gravely looking way better with his form right now. Took him a split second, and now Gravely looks way more composed. De Freitas, I think, a little timid to try and throw at this point now. Gravely just kind of shadow boxing, connects with the leg kick on the outside on that front lead leg. We see De Freitas trying to continuously come in and leaves himself open very quickly for a takedown, but Gravely does have the back. He does try to slam him off of that. De Freitas keeping his balance, at least for the interim. They are pressed up against the cage. Gravely making a little bit of an adjustment to see if maybe he can get in on this. De Freitas looking for that Kimura grip. Not going to get it. Gravely switching over. Grape finds a leg. Tries to duck underneath and has a single leg here. Has to give it up, but continues the pressure. De Freitas pushes him away. There is 65 seconds left to go on my clock right now. De Freitas really trying to make things up again. And every time he gets that beautiful posture for his boxing, he is getting shot in on. Gravely does not want to keep this on the feet. He wants to try and make this as gross as possible with the amount of difference in the wrestling. And we're seeing De Freitas trying to throw as many punches as possible, but it almost seems on every 8th punch, you see Gravely duck down, change his level, and go straight back in just like he did right there for another takedown. And now he is getting stuffed. So at the very least, De Freitas looking a lot better here in terms of stuffing the takedowns. It's just a little too late to do it unless he can create a submission scenario in one of those moments. 22 seconds left to go. Peppering some punches in here. Not quite at butterfly. Feet on the hips. Pushing Gravely away. Gravely looks like he's got a front headlock here. And I think, gets a nice crack on that right hand there. De Freitas a little bit more on Dream Street, but he's still moving. Good for him. It says, De Freitas ends every combo with a hook to the head. Yes. It says, Gravely makes the read and level changes underneath. That is correct. And at the very end of it, the two of them seem all the happier to make it through the end of that fight. Well, we've unfortunately had no toast here tonight, guys. Normally, you got to get a fight finish. What's up, David? You got to get a fight finish to get a toast on air. I don't really have one yet. So the way you guys can get a toast on air is to share this broadcast. If you give us a like and a share, we give you a toast. We give you a little cheers
on the air. It's an invitation for both you to be a participant on the show and also for me to drink. So everybody wins. What is up, Depressing H? It seems like a login name that has some concern for those of us who see it here. You doing okay, man? I know it's depressing, but it's like, are you okay? We should ask that. I think that's a good way to go about it. So yes, give us a like and a share. We will give you a toast on air. That's how it goes. We go to the official decision now, which should not surprise anybody, if we're being honest. Bruce Buffer there. What's up, Andrew Alexander? Good to see you, bud. Hope you're doing well. What's up, Strength and Mobility? Look at this. Both gents kind of embracing each other. And your official results are 30-27, 28-29, and 29-28, giving Tony Gravely the win. I'm curious who gave it to DeFritas. Because I don't understand that. If you can explain that to me, a dumb person, to have a little bit better understanding of how Tony didn't win every one of those rounds, I would love to hear. I don't see the punching being that powerful from DeFritas. Like, what round did that happen? Show me those scorecards. Because if that's the case, I feel like we also maybe a little bit of a different fight for the judges who may have seen things a little different there. All right, he's walking on over to interview Rowe. Woo! He's wrestling. This is what I want to hear him talk about. So he's about to do an interview with Michael the Count Bisping, whose shirt tie combination tonight is atrocious. Not just atrocious, it's embarrassing. It says, is Cecil Peoples still judging fights? He is. I don't think he's judging this one, but if he is, we have our answer. All right, let's see what Tony says on his interview right now. Again, look at the shirt tie combination.
Apparently not matching his school right now.
Producer wife Kelly is saying, apparently not matching his school, which is invalid. Wear a white fucking shirt if you're going to wear that. At the very least, you won't look this stupid.
Oh, like in fashion.
Oh, in fashion. Whatever.
It's not like he picked it.
I think this is one he might have actually picked today. Wow, that was a terrible interview. There was one question, and the poor kid just says, agreed about the shirt tie combo. Thank you. The kid just had like 2 seconds to do the interview and just say, it's my first split decision fight, and man, that's crazy. Cut to Bisping. All right, thanks for being here. Bye. I know we're short on time here, but Jesus Christ. Give the kid some due right now. That fight went 15 minutes, so yeah, I thought we only have one more fight to get through, and we have 27 minutes to do it. What's up, Submissions on the Shore? I just don't understand how we don't have enough time to do that. Anyway, we are watching the fight right now, UFC Vegas 14. Much appreciation to all of you tuning in right now. At the end of this fight, we're actually going to take a break. We're going to come back for the main card, but we're going to walk you through the last one. And the last fight that is going on right now is Randa Marcos versus Canuco Morata, who, by the way, Dan Hubler is not here to tell you exactly why, but I will walk you through why he said to put money against Marcos, which I know sounds weird, but that's the point. If you're really going to try and make money, you sometimes have to bet on it. Here was the rationale that I got. So let me go ahead and put this on for you guys who are watching on the screens right now. All right. So the rationale that Dan Hubler sent over to me for this betting pick goes as follows. So he's saying for Canuco Morata, it says ML negative 190. It says this line opened at negative 180, but has steadily moved since then. Marcos has generally relied on her wrestling throughout her inconsistent career, which, by the way, hurtful, Dan. But her 28%, by the way, I'm reading it 100% exactly as he wrote it because he didn't write her, H-E-R. He wrote her. But, and it's also, instead of but, like B-U-T, it's but her. Sorry, this is what happens when you proofread things for part of your living. 28% teak down accuracy and 58% takedown defense will not hold up over 3 rounds against Morata. Morata will eventually hit a wall as she climbs the rankings of the UFC, as her 5'1" frame may struggle with the physicality of larger fighters, but Marcos does not seem to be the one to do it. And it says, finally, to conclude, a submission win for Morata would not be shocking here, as Marcos has recently demonstrated a low fight IQ. Jesus, Dan. I don't think I would have put this on the bullet points. A low fight IQ when it comes to submission wrestling. Put herself in bad spots against both Dern and the Ribas. Because of that, Morata, SNA negative 130 is also another decent play to make. So those are the betting line suggestions from our good friend Dan Hubler, who also apparently is writing as a bitchy New York Times article writer in the fucking comment section, by the way. So hopefully make with that what you will. You got maybe a couple seconds to put in those bets, but I don't know that I disagree with the pick as much as I do the really sassy writing that Dan decided to go with tonight. And I guess that begs the question, who do you have in this fight? Are you like Dan? Do you believe that Marcos really isn't a high caliber fighter, or do you believe that she will pull off the win here? Because Morata seems to be the question for all of us here tonight. What is up, Arato? Glad you can join us. We're watching UFC Vegas 14. This is 13 or it's 13 or 14, right? Sorry. They're all chiming them together. And at a certain point, we will blend them together because, listen, they've been doing this shit straight for a long time. So, what's up, Marcus? Vinicius Bagafoto? That's a long name, bro. I don't understand how you guys can do these long name Instagram handles. It's got to be hard, right? Like, submissions on the shore is, I think, the longest I would be willing to go for a name. And that's just because that's the name of the competition. And it's supposed to give you a regional idea of where you would be competing. And I see here from Joffrey, it says, Canuco Morata will win. Okay. So it looks like Joffrey is in on this one. I'll ask you guys on Instagram and you guys watching on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitch. We're not actually on Twitch today. Twitter and Periscope to tell me who you have winning this next fight. I would love to hear it. This is the last fight of the prelims, and then we will be going to the main card, which, by the way, the main card starts off right at the top of the hour, and the person who's fighting on the main card is none other than Kay Hanson, who last time she fought, we did one of these, and it was her UFC debut. Very happy for her, and she got a shout-out from Ronda Rousey on her armbar. That's a pretty good way to debut in the UFC if you're going to debut at all. So we're wishing good things for her, but we got to watch this other fight until we get to that one. If you're Dan Hubler, maybe you're not even watching that one. Not just because you're saying sassy things, but also because you feel a certain way about Ronda Marcos. So there is that. Also, if you give us a like and a share, I will give you a toast on air. I don't really have something to do for the Instagram people. I'd like to have something that I could do. I don't know. If you can share this, I would toast you. I don't know that that's possible. But if you did share it on your Instagram stories, I would give you a cheers toast like we do those fighters who get finishes within regulation. Just screenshot and send it to me because I don't know if that's possible. I think you can. But I also don't write the rules for Instagram, which looks like it's changing all the fucking time. The new layout design for Instagram is fucking weird.
Like now, whenever you have like an Instagram thing, it puts your name at the top so you can switch between the two. It's very strange. The technology, kids, it gets weirder. What's up? Hi, man. Good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing well, man. Are you still working at Egg Slut? Not like I can go there. But are you still working there? Because I was supporting it because of you. If you're not, I will not support them. All right, we're about ready for the strawweight bout, and you are looking at the difference in frames. Rana Marcos has a 5-4 frame against Canuco Morata, who's got 5-1, and the age difference is there too. And I'm surprised that Dan wasn't bitchy enough to say, well, she's too old anyway, so you know that's a factor. They're making their introductions, and I mean, I know that they were talking about her frame, but like, Canuco is looking ripped, by the way. Like, her arms look fucking massive. Good for her. Meanwhile, she is fighting against Dan Hubler's least favorite fighter I have seen him commentate about. You know, maybe that's why Spectrum went down for Dan. It might have been like, you know what, Hubler, you're going to be way too bitchy to these fighters. We overrank you on this one. You shouldn't go on Raf's show. You'll say things that you will instantaneously regret. Your referee for this one, Mark Smith. Octagon girl walking down, wave, which means it's time to fight. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, we do get a signal to start right now. Round 1, I have 4:55 on my clock starting at this moment. Marcos. I mean, at this point, you could say that she's in the red trunks, but she's really just wearing the red hair. So that should be the first giveaway. Morata in the white and silver getup, if you would. So anyway, that's what we got going on right now. Hope you guys are having a very nice day, though. Marcos looking very, very attentive, and Morata created a nice little combination there. Started to get on the inside. All right, Marcos gets a good counter in. Morata looking very evasive. Morata gets her on over, has double underhooks here. Let's see if she's able to get her down. Marcos almost fended it off, goes to a butterfly hook to try and extend here. You do get the takedown for one Morata, but Marcos is trying to hip heist out of it, not getting much out. Now, with that leg extended to maybe try and create a little bit of a disruption to the base, you are seeing Morata doing a very, very decent job of maybe starting to pass. Marcos decides to close up the guard and keep her posture broken here for just a split second. Ooh, but Morata almost passing the guard. She just kind of needs to free her foot here. She looks like it's very close to happening for her. She just probably needs a second here and just a second longer. So 3:15 left to play here as she gets an underhook underneath the head. Legs still trapped there momentarily. Not quite getting it, not like getting it, but she does get a little bit of a crossface. Marcos almost disrupting the base for a split second. Now, pinning that arm against the mat, Marcos gets to her knees, now starts to stand back up, eats a knee, and starts pressing Morata against the cage, who reverses the position. Marcos, while against the cage, now gets a knee of her own. The two of them kind of trading them off a little bit here, and it looked like for a split second, Morata tried to go for a little bit of a judo toss here, does not get it. Instead, the two of them engage back up on top, and Morata just pulling her down by sheer will. Now they're both up against the cage here, and the advantage going back over to Morata once again. It's an interesting strategic fight thus far. Morata trying to maybe get an inside trip here. She has her lead leg, looked like it was kind of seeing if maybe she could kind of bring it inside between the two legs. Now she's grapevine on the outside, almost has major success with it. Marcos trying with the whizzer,
Cannot get away, though. Reverses and now gets the trip for her efforts. Morata now gets the ability to work from side control. She just kind of needs the free of the leg just a little bit here, and she could pretty much be in a prime position. And that's going to probably prompt Marcos to turn back into her in just a second here. But instead, she's doing a very smart thing, which is using her hips to kill Marcos's positioning here. This is time that's really, really going to build up a little bit more for her in this regard. Did she just put her leg back almost into that kind of half guard section? Because if so, sure, you could, but she seemed to have a better approach there without it being trapped. It could be a false sense of security. As it looks like she's almost gift wrapping the arm to put in a series of punches, which, by the way, Sven, never do that to me. Would never be friends anymore. Not a fan. Gift wrap is pretty good, but you do that, friendship over. Underneath, underhook there by Marcos. And now eating a couple elbows. The position on the cage is not great for her at this split second. And you are seeing Murata work very, very actively here. 30 seconds left to go for her in the first round. She's pinned again one of the arms, and now dropping some elbows here. Marcos very wisely getting out of that position, but you have to wonder how many attacks she could take here. And now Marcos might have a heel hook here. The mechanics aren't 100% there. Morata has to be very careful. There's also a calf slicer here. There's 5 seconds left. I think she'll be able to make it throughout without a huge problem. But Jesus Christ, that is not the way to escape that. Yikes. Well, if there's one thing we learned in this round, it's that Morata does not know how to escape a heel hook. Not a lot of people do, so I get it. But it does give me some concern, especially when you leave your leg out there long enough for somebody to try and rip the shit out of it, which B2 dubs, not fun, in case you were wondering. So there is that. Think we're all in agreement there. 10-9 for one Morata. Yeah. Not hearing any complaints. Nobody's really outside of the realm on that one, so I'm not gonna be too surprised if any of you guys feel a certain way about that one. Oh God. Sven, yeah, no. Sorry, I was changing a diaper. What happened? Well, nothing. So you didn't really miss too much, my friend. You did miss, though, a heel hook attempt by one Rana Marcos that didn't really work. What's up, Joao Liao BJJ, or is that PJJ? I think that's part of your name, but I just Joao Liao JJ. Welcome to the show. Watching UFC Vegas 14. Margot's keeping a little bit better posture on this one, trying to change her level to make sure she's a little bit more prepared for what is an inevitable takedown attempt by Morata. Nice kick to the inside leg of one Morata there by Marcos. Nice spinning shit happening. Mike's MMA pick says Morata putting in a dominant first round from a positional perspective, which accurate. Oof. Looking to see how this plays out thus far in. 4 minutes left in the second round. Little dancing on the feet right now. Nothing connecting thus far in. What's up, Ned? Thank you for joining us. We're watching UFC Vegas 14. Hopefully you are as well. If not, I'll walk you through it. Morata is starting to cut in a little bit better angles here. I think she wants to find a way to get her overhand right home to the chin of one Rana Marcos. I'm not seeing too much action from Marcos, so I do wonder if she was a little tired after that first round. There's a lot of pressure from Morata in that first 5 minutes. Let me see here. I want to go ahead and make sure We're giving shout outs to everybody who's been liking and giving us some notes thus far in. More back spinning shit right now. Marcos not finding a home for it. So far, the Compu strikes for this one are low. Good exchange there. Underhook there by one Morata, who's now starting to push Marcos around. They break up. .230 left to go, so we were halfway through the fight, and that exchange, as Morata goes to kick, Marcos comes in with a little bit of a trip. She gets back up immediately. All of the Alexa suggestions here. Alexa, what are some top-rated restaurants? Like, don't really need that right now, Alexa. I hate to break it to you. There's kind of a thing happening. You know what? That's for later. We'll talk about it later, Alexa. Morata has Marcos up against the cage and now is turning this into a slow play. She has one of the wrists grabbed while she has an underhook underneath the other side. So at this point, she's mostly going to make life a little miserable for Marcos, who is trying to find some way to rehook here, maybe elevate her out. But instead, you're seeing Morata surf this one a little bit better. If you're Marcos, you're probably looking at that leg again. Because if she had some degree of success with a heel hook that first time with somebody who did not look like they knew how to escape it, I'm not saying you want to go for a heel hook, but I'm thinking if you're getting dominated like this, shouldn't be outside the realm of possibility. All right, Morata trying to pin that arm again, making Marcos a little defenseless there. It's weird because she can't quite get mount in this position. She almost needs to go up a little bit higher. Marcos keeping her knees up a little bit higher, but the positioning of where they are in relation to where the cage is makes it a little hard to finish that. Instead, Marcos gives up a little bit of her neck, and Morata not really doing too much with it, and questionably kneeing her that she may have to kind of watch where they're going at this point. You see a 2-on-1 from Marcos, who finds her way back up against the cage, now is standing there. Morata has one underhook here, trying to get a knee in, mostly just checking to see if she is moving at all. And there's just both of them trying to hit some knees here. Nothing too crazy. 10 seconds left in the second round. She might try for a trip here, but I would tell her to just save it. She don't really need it right now. And end of the second round here, friends. I'm going to take a wild guess, but second round also goes for Morata there. So that's just my guess. Ned, you got to tell me how to say your name, because there's the Nedi Terra do Amaral. So if I'm saying it wrong, my apologies, but that is a name. All right, kids. Third and final round coming up. If it pays off this way, I mean, Dan's not going to be wrong. So we have that going for us. May not be the best way to end part one of part two of the telecast, but, you know, kind of navigating our way through it. So we're just going to have to deal with it, friends. Third round, obviously the game plan for Morata is going to be cage work with a little bit of a takedown from there, pressuring against the cage. Marcos, I would hope that you'd really want to make this a better exchange on the feet. I think you want to keep these kicks coming. I think you want to try to swerve out just a little bit there. But if that's not going to happen for you, you got to make something happen in this third round. Just my opinion here. So Ryan Frederick says 2018. That makes sense. 4:25 on my clock. That's somewhere in the region of where you guys are. If not, be glad to share information, walk you through it, give you some knowledge if I have it, and if I don't, make it up.
That's essentially what commentating is. If you don't know something, just make it up. It says their real machine. I was going to read that as the real machine, but welcome to the show. All right, at least at this point, Marcos is fending off a little bit more of the takedowns. Just kidding. Nope. She was about to get taken down there. And instead, you see Morata go for it. Now on her back, trying to isolate the arm, use a little bit of a butterfly hook here. And that is going to allow Morata to start passing. This might be a little bit of a foregone outcome. It just might take a little bit to get there. Ooh, is that a weird ass Darce that she's trying to hit her with there? Because there is no arm trapped, and it just looks like Marcos is eating it. Yeah, we're almost getting into Dragon Sleeper territory here. Yeah, now we're getting into that front, like that weird north-south choke that really isn't there because it's just a little off altogether. Marcos just not enjoying it, but probably able to live through it. Underhook of life, trying to get her back up. But instead, I think Morata just didn't really know that you need to get more of the arm in there if you're trying to slide it on through. That creates a little bit more of the compression, creates a little bit more of a, you're stuck in the position. There are some people who are very hard to Darce, but that was not one of those cases. That was a, how does this work again? Did I forget the, oh shit, I forgot the arm. Damn it. Especially if you can trap the legs after you hit that. It's one of the worst places to be. Nobody likes that. Meanwhile, back in the guard, Morata trying to drop some very powerful shots here. Connects on a couple. Hits the mat on the other ones. Marcos trying to lift up the leg, maybe seeing if she can do the rubber guard that we would have liked to have seen De Freitas doing that last one. Didn't happen for him. I guess what I'm saying here is, what's up? Is that Joe Tape BJ? I hope that the breakdown of that name is just Joe Tape, and then it's just Brazilian Jit. Ooh, Marcos trying for an armbar here, does not get it. Instead, allows Morata to pass her, who now is back into that side control. Marcos trying to get some underhooks here, maybe trying to get to her side. She's been really good, I have to give her credit, about regarding and getting back to her side consistently throughout. There is an up kick that's, I think at a little point the referee is kind of noting it's a little dicey there, but is what it is. Meanwhile, Marcos almost getting a sweep here with an arm trapped. It's just a real funky position between the two of them. They have to switch the camera angle because I think the cameraman's like, what the fuck is happening here? Nope. Instead, Morata keeps her balance from up top. You are 45 seconds away from getting some return on if you took Dan's advice there. Cannot promise you did, but if you did, worth it. What's up, Roman? I think she's going to try for maybe that Darce again. See, look, now the arm is possible to make that Darce happen, but you are seeing Marcos kind of curl up a little bit more here. Tries for an armbar. Nope. 15 seconds left. That's going to be a hard amount of time to pull off an armbar. And more importantly, when the form is just throwing a Hail Mary more than anything else. So, my friends, that is going to take us to the end of the fight, in which you will see a dominant, likely 30-27 from one Canuco Morata. And she should get it. Let's just be very clear. There's no fighting here from us on the show. So, as I mentioned before, what we're going to do, we're going to take a short little break. They did go to 3:59. How the fuck did they... Like, the UFC somehow can make a 15-minute fight with 27 minutes still not work. Anyway, we're going to take a short break. When we return, we're going to come back,
knock out these last 5 fights. You do not want to go anywhere. You want to be here to watch Kay's next fight. Friend of the show. We're very excited to see how that one plays out for her. So at the end of this fight, take a short moment, come back at Grappling Hour on all major social media. So that's YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope and Twitter. And then on here, we're going to come back here on the Verbal Tapcast social media as well for our Instagram to keep things going. So we're going to keep things very nice. Take a couple minutes, use the restroom, grab another beverage. I might, though it's not likely because I really don't want to mess this up. This actually is a good one. Just in case you're wondering what I'm drinking here tonight, it is apparently Fat Orange Cat is the name of this one. And they have cut to a close, which means we should too. All right, don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a little bit. We have a major interest in seeing Paul Felder versus Rafael dos Anjos, not just for the poll that we put up yesterday, but for humanity, because we owe Paul Felder for this one. All right, kids, see you in just a moment. Much love. And it says good win by Canuco Morata. Indeed. We'll leave it with that. See you guys in a bit.